1,000 cars on the weekend trying to get to your restaurant. Who in the hell, not even Costco has a line like that.
Price tag's still on there.
Oh my God.
And the name brand of the shirt.
On today's episode, I'm excited to be joined by Carmen Nuch Trutanich. He grew up in San Pedro, spent his early years around the old fish market, and remains deeply connected to the people and stories that shaped this community. Nuch went on to build a respected career as a criminal prosecutor before serving as Los Angeles City Attorney. Nuch, welcome to Fish Factor. How are we doing today?
You're doing great, pal. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's an honor to have you on, and I know there's going to be some really cool stories that we can share. So let's start with this one.
I knew I hit the big time when I got on this podcast.
This might be the most watched at this point. Hopefully, I don't have to lock the doors at night now. What are your earliest memories of growing up in San Pedro?
God. Well, I guess the Amalfitano family and my family.
Mm-hmm.
We lived, and I don't know if everybody here knows who Amalfitanos were, but my grandmother's name was Amalfitano, and my grandfather's name was Scotty. So the Scotties and Amalfitanos lived across the alley from each other, and we all grew up in the fishing industry. The fishing industry was the blood of I think the Italian and Yugoslavian at that time community. I mean,
Yeah.
they all migrated from island, like your family and my family came from Ischia, in the island off of Naples.
Yeah.
And they were fishermen. So when they came here, the only thing they knew it wasn't math and reading and writing, it was fishing, and they all got into the fishing industry. And I think that's why we're here today.
What's the time frame when you talk about growing up on Ninth and across the alley and all that, and the Scotties and the Amalfitanos and Ungaros? Like what time frame? What year would that be that you're thinking of?
That would be in the late 50s.
Wow.
I was born in 51. So, I mean, my earliest memories were, playing in the street with your cousins, and just, it was fun. I mean, San Pedro was a different community than it is today. It was much more rural. I'll give you an example of the commitment to like the church and things of that nature. When there was this church, Mary Star of the Sea.
Yeah.
It used to be on 9th Street. Did you know that?
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
Okay, it was on 9th Street, below Pacific, and the church moved when Monsignor Scott came in.
Oh,
They
sure.
built this cathedral, if you will, on between 7th and 8th on Myler.
What year was that?
And God,
Because he was Monsignor when I was in grammar school, and maybe
he was
before
Monsignor when they crucified Jesus. I mean, I mean, he was there forever. I mean it. He was a staple.
Yeah.
But when they moved the church, my mom and dad sold their house on 9th Street. Remember on 9th and Grand where you
Yeah.
okay? And bought a house across from the church on 8th Street. That's how San Pedro, I mean, the whole town was that way. It was just very rural, very ethnic, just a different place.
Wow. I do remember, because when I was really young, I guess maybe 5 years old, we moved up above Western. And I even remember,
Oh,
those
you were
brand new,
rich.
those
You
were
were
brand
rich.
new homes. Yeah, and my dad would tell me
You
the
lived
story.
above
It's
Western.
yeah, I think the house.
That's where the rich people lived.
Well, it's funny because I think the first the first house, if I remember my dad's been gone 26 years now, but
Good guy too, by the way.
I think he told me that his dad, Mackie, my grandfather, called him crazy for buying a house up there because it was like $60,000 at the time, right?
Yeah,
1975.
yeah. I mean, we live below, Patton, below, Walker. We were in
Yeah,
the ordinary section where all the Slavs and Italians kind of lived.
yeah,
And when you go up to Western Avenue, back then there was nothing above Weymouth Avenue. It was
yeah,
just empty fields. But when you went up above Western, that's where all the rich people were. I
yeah.
mean, people were spending $60,000, $70,000 for a house. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't
It
even have a
didn't.
bike growing up.
I mean, it didn't feel. We didn't. It didn't feel like we were rich. It's funny because I'm thinking about this now. Then we moved. Then we moved a couple blocks over, and I think that house was like 80,000. It's probably $2 million now, right? What it's worth.
Yeah,
But I remember like below Western. So we're above Western, below where all the condos and everything are now. It
right.
was all fields because I remember
Yeah.
tumbleweeds blowing up into our neighborhood whenever it was windy.
Oh yeah. We used to go hiking in the fields below the Elks Club over there off of Cumbria Drive.
Yeah, yeah,
It was just it was just a different place than it is today. But all the memories that were made as a result of the relationships that were founded in the 60s and 70s, the reason that I'm so close to Tommy, and
yeah.
literally Tommy grew up like a brother to me,
Hmm.
because because they would come and sit on our porch because Mary Star of the Sea High School was right across the street from our house.
Yeah,
And so that's where Tommy went to school. And
yeah,
so my sisters, my two older sisters were in his class, and Tommy would come over, and then he'd go visit his cousins across the alley. And my dad really took a liking to Tommy. I mean, my Tommy, if I had to pick one really great guy coming from Pedro, that would be the guy. He
wow,
just he's helped more people. He's done more for this community, um, and I can tell you that that's why when I was the city attorney, when they wanted to tear down the ports of call and the restaurants and all that,
yeah,
can you excuse my French? But I said bullshit. That ain't
yeah,
going to happen because these people built this town, and now you're going to turn it into and bring in uh, a bunch of foreigners, and I don't mean foreign nationals. I mean just people
yeah,
not locals to Pedro, and have them make money off of what the backs of what these guys did. That ain't going to happen on my watch, pal.
yeah.
And uh, yeah, but Tommy and my dad, and I don't even know if you know this or not. When, how much money do you think Tommy had coming out of high school?
In his pockets, probably nothing.
Yes, that's exactly right. And
Yeah,
my dad knew that. And
yeah.
when Tommy opened his business as that fish market down there before he opened the restaurants and all that,
Hmm.
he would come over to Starkist, where my dad was the foreman,
Yeah.
and get scows of fish. And my
You,
dad would give it to him.
wait, there's two things I don't want to step over. One is I want to talk about Vista Seafood because that's Ninth and Myler. That's right where you guys are talking
Yeah.
about. But also, I remember, I think it was a funeral where you were speaking, eulogizing, I think it was Pete Bosnich. And you were telling some stories about Starkist and the fish market and how these guys would go to work. They would go there in the morning because I never understood this as a kid. Because when we opened San Pedro Fish Market in 1980 or 1982, I was like 11 years old. And my grandfather would be down there early in the morning, and it would be Pete Bosnich and Carmelich, and all those guys would hang out there in the morning and drink coffee in the dining room before it opened. Like
Yeah,
I
I
would
know.
go in
Oh,
there, and
oh
they all
yeah.
took turns bringing donuts.
Yeah.
Then what I remember is
Zeronovich,
they
John
all had
Zeronovich.
they all had a specific day assigned to them to bring donuts, and when somebody would die, there were no donuts that day.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah, I mean,
Like
I
I
could,
never
I
saw
could,
that
get, I
before.
could name you the names of the guys who were sitting in that restaurant having donuts with Tommy, and because Tommy would stop everything and come in and sit down with those guys,
Yeah,
and
two dots was there.
yep, John Zerotovich. But
Yeah.
those same guys. This is how eclectic everything is in Pedro. Those same guys that would have breakfast there
Hmm.
at the Mary Star of the Sea Fiesta
Yeah.
at night, they would be building booths after work for the fiesta,
Yeah.
and then sit there with Joe Besna, who was the janitor of Mary Star, and
Oh,
and have a drink and a sandwich, and it was
yes.
really like
I,
old hometown.
I have a picture. It's not. I thought I had it behind me, but I actually have a picture of my grandfather and his brother, my uncle John, at the Budweiser beer booth in 1957 or 56 at the Mary Star Fiesta. I didn't
All
realize
those
they were
guys
building the
built it.
booths though. What's that?
All those guys built those booths.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's funny. I remember we always had the Budweiser booth. We were always serving beer, and I was just a little kid running around in the
Yep.
'80s. But that's
Johnny
a long
Galigo was
time.
one of those guys too.
Oh, no kidding.
Yep.
Yeah, wow,
You know,
incredible.
I tell you that's the roots of San Pedro. I mean, really, what you're talking about right now is how that town grew. You know, and how Tommy grew. My Tommy would come over maybe once or twice a week and grab a bunch of fish from plant one or plant four that
Starkist.
my Starkist. My
Wow,
dad would give it to him because my dad was the plant manager at that time, you know, and
incredible.
uh, and he took care of Tommy. He loved Tommy. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why Tommy and I get along so well.
And a lot of those guys we were talking about, like Tom Scotty's grandfather, Tom Senior, right? He
Right?
worked there, didn't he?
Yes, all
And
of us
and
did.
you guys all worked there. All
I,
worked for Starkist.
when I turned 15 and a half, I got my working permit and I went to work at in the packing room at Starkist.
Wow, and and I went on. I think it's been 3 years now, but my wife and I and my daughters went on one of the Croatian cruises. You know, the small one is only
Yep.
20 people, and one of the islands we went to, I remember was like that's where the family that started Starkist came from. I was like, every
Comiza,
island I went to, everyone's texting me. That's where my family's from.
Comiza,
Yeah.
Comiza, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I went there on a cruise, same type thing, and I sat down at this restaurant because my brother had told me that one of my cousins owned it.
Mm.
So I ordered dinner with my or lunch with my wife, and we're sitting there having lunch, and you know, and he comes over, and I introduced myself, and at that time, it was right after I got out of office, and they all thought that I was the president of the United States because I was, because I won an election. And it was funny as hell because I get up to clean my dishes off the table, and this Slav guy just looks at me, Croatian guy, just looks at me, and he goes in English, broken English, "Sit down, you're Trutanich, you don't do that."
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, just an amazing history, you know.
So, so let me go back. So Vista Seafood. So my understanding was it was Vista Seafood because my dad
Right.
and Tommy are like what 15 years old, and they would walk over there with their friends like John Bassage. John Bassage, by the way, was on, and he was talking about you and eating when you were a kid, showing up to eat. That's what he said.
I can tell you, I haven't heard that name in 100 years.
Oh, he's
God,
doing great.
another great guy.
Yeah, he's a really good. Him and Tommy were on here together sharing stories about the stuff they were talking about, but they didn't mention Starkist.
Well,
So,
I think nobody knew.
wow,
I don't think anybody knew.
wow.
That was an
So,
inside Pedro thing.
so were you were around then when it's because it started at Vista Seafood, and the way they explain it is that they'd get out of school and they'd walk 2 blocks over from Mary Star, I guess, right, and then go to work
Right.
there for my
It was
grandfather, and then
right on the corner. It was
eventually.
right down from the San Pedro camp.
Right, and then eventually, I think what was it like 1959 is when they moved down to the waterfront, which was Norm's Landing before there was a port call.
Right.
Like all that was after.
Yes, I know. I
Yeah, and
know.
people don't under. I don't think people realize that. They always say you're in Portugal, you're part of Portugal. We never were. We were actually always dealt directly with the port.
Well, there's probably 700 or 800 feet between the end of Tommy's restaurant and the beginning of Port Call.
Yeah,
It was an empty lot
yeah, it
for
was
the
nothing.
longest time, and I mean, Jamie Wilson, who ran the restaurant over there at Port Call, another good guy from Pedro,
Yeah,
and then Nizitich's wasn't even there. That was
later.
that was the ferry, you know,
Yeah, that's
uh,
right. That came
you
later.
know. Yeah, I mean that was the old days. Remember when there was no bridge, you
No,
know,
oh,
you know.
that's. I mean, that's right around the time I was probably born. But I've seen the pictures when the bridge was being built.
Yeah, I mean there was no bridge. I mean, I can remember there was no bridge. We'd have to take. I go to work with my dad, to keep him company during the day because his secretaries would type my papers for high school, and 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 we take the ferry,
Hmm.
or we go the long way around through Wilmington.
Yeah. Wow. So what do you remember? I cannot find a single picture that I'm aware of from the Vista seafood days. Do you think there's any photographs of that location existing anywhere?
Yeah, I'll bet you Rafalovich has one because Rafalovich's office was behind it. Do you remember
Oh,
that?
really? That'd be great.
Yeah,
I cannot find one. I've looked for years.
yeah. Alex was a CPA, and he was, right behind Vista.
Oh, okay. Got it.
And then
Yeah.
when Vista moved out, Resich's dad moved in at the liquor store.
Okay. Got it. But that's all gone now because the liquor store's down. Wasn't it on Gaffey now?
I don't know where. I don't. Resich's dad is gone, but I worked in that liquor store because it was around the corner from my house.
Okay, hold on. I got a question. So I also heard, and maybe it was this actually was probably at my dad's funeral, but I think Bassett was talking about a story where my dad liked because my dad had a thing for fireworks, especially explosives.
Yes.
And I think he said there was a story about him blowing them up inside of an ice chest or something in the old fish market and breaking glass at the liquor store next door. Is that the same
Yeah.
place?
Yes. Yes.
So, yeah, that
Yes.
makes
No, but
total
that
sense.
that that kind of stuff only happens in Pedro. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I remember one time when I was a kid, my dad had like cases of fireworks from Mexico in our garage. I don't know who he was holding them for or why they got delivered there, but it was an incredible 4th of July.
Well, I
We
can
had
tell
Roman
you,
candles and bottle rockets and all the stuff that's illegal now. It was
the
amazing.
Ungaros were a famous family in Pedro, man.
Hmm.
That was like, the Trutaniches were not known. I think but the Ungaros were a famous family in Pedro.
Wow.
It's just it's amazing. I just look at what you guys have accomplished with that fish market. And today, I mean, I'm in Naples. I live in Naples,
Hmm.
and I look across the canal
Yeah.
and I see
We're
your
there.
restaurant. I had dinner there the other night. You know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just an amazing expansion of all the little shops, the takeout places that you guys put in. Just a tribute to what
Yeah.
you know. How many degrees from Harvard do you have?
I
You
do
got.
not.
Yeah.
I'm
I
more
mean,
from
that's the
USC.
bottom. That's it. The bottom line is you don't need all these degrees, and that's the one thing that a lot of people from Pedro have proven that just innately with hard work and determination you can be successful.
Yeah.
That's what I get out of being from Pedro: hard work and
Yeah,
determination.
it's true. I mean, what Tommy built and my dad and grandfather and just I've studied business a lot on my own outside of the business and what I don't. There's two interesting things about what you just said. One, I don't think that my family and Tommy realize what they created. For one, the more I study business and meet for like successful business people outside of our business, the more they look at what we do, saying nobody that what you did is impossible. 3,000 seats and 4 Guinness World Records and millions of customers from around the country. Like, why aren't you doing more of them? And I'm like, I don't.
Are you kidding me? The line coming off the Vincent Thomas Bridge,
Yeah,
backed up traffic, 1,000 cars on the weekend trying to get to your restaurant. Who in the hell? Not even Costco has a line like that. I mean, who in the hell builds a business like that? That you know what? If I were you guys, I'd be at church every day thanking the Lord that
yeah,
look at how you blessed my family.
yeah.
Thank you, and
You know,
that's the honest to God truth.
I had a guy that was doing some work with us at one time. Goes, you should hire an engineering company to count the cars that come in here because I think you'd be surprised. And it was relatively inexpensive, a couple $1,000s, whatever. And they did this two studies counting the cars and the people. And it goes, and they're like an engineering company the government typically uses for these sort of measurements or counts. And it's like only Dodger Stadium brings in more people than you as far as cars go in a weekend.
Oh yeah, I mean, look at that parking lot there. That parking lot is gigantic, and on Saturday and Sunday, you can't find a damn spot. I'm lucky I was the city attorney, so I could park behind those poles there. Otherwise, I would never have been able to go in that restaurant.
Yes. So I remember you coming in with bodyguards and
Yes,
Suburbans. What was that
yes.
like to have to be like protected like that?
Well, that's a different story completely because anytime you're in public life like that, I mean, you see these people that get shot today,
Yeah.
that's a real possibility. I had pictures of people taped on the inside of my door, my front door. Uh, and I would tell my wife when I leave in the morning, look through the peephole here. If any of these people are here,
Don't answer.
don't answer. Push the button because I had a alarm system that had a light, a strobe light on the roof that would tell the helicopter to get there ASAP. But yeah, every 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Um,
A lot of
uh,
stress.
Let me just tell you because you just don't know. I mean, and believe me, you know, I didn't think I did anything that would cause somebody to want to shoot me, but hell, my
Oh,
wife wants to shoot me sometimes.
you have a button for her? I do. Okay, so let's back up. So you're growing up in San Pedro. You're around the fish market. There's a whole thing with Starkist, Tuna. Like, tell me the pathway to you becoming an attorney and eventually the LA City attorney. What was that about?
Well, I mean, um, I was lucky. I got I at when I was going to school at SC. Fight on,
Okay,
it's a
right with you. Great game over the weekend, by the way.
that's right. That's right. We got to watch this game this weekend.
Yeah.
So when I was going to SC, I was going with Alex Rafalovich's daughter. He
Oh,
was a
okay.
CPA. I didn't know. I got lucky and got accepted to SC. So I got into SC. I wanted to play football, and so I was going to go to Notre Dame, and I changed to go to SC because my brother-in-law played baseball for Rod Dano.
Oh, wow.
So when I got there, it was too late for me to register for regular freshman classes. So I had to take a business class. So Alex told me to take accounting. And so I became an accounting major. And so I went through SC, got my degree in accounting, sat for the CPA, got a couple of legs on it, never went back because at that time, after I left the plant, I got a job working in the office at Starkist for my uncle, Nick, and
Mm.
he was working in procurement. So I was then negotiating contracts all over the world for fishing rights for our ships, our boats that would fish in the waters. So I went back and got my master's degree in management and accounting. And entrepreneurship. They had just started this something called entrepreneurship. I had no idea what the word was. It was bigger than any
Yeah.
word I ever used in my life. And uh, so
You
I,
know,
I
what's
I
funny
got
is
my
that
master's
we
and
were talking about John Bassage. I think that was his son's major at USC because we were there at the same time.
entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
I
I'll
didn't
tell
know
you
it
the truth.
existed either.
Yeah, neither did I. And so, like, when I got my master's, um, I started negotiating these fishing contracts all over the world, and I realized I got a great education at SC,
Mm.
great, but it didn't prepare me to negotiate with government lawyers that knew what the hell they were doing, and I, who had taken a 4-unit business law class, so I enrolled at night after work in a night law school just to learn contracts so I could learn how to negotiate and what the terms of the contract were. Because when we were sitting down negotiating fishing rights, they were using words I didn't even know the word meaning to. So and then when I finished because you couldn't only take one class, you had to take 3 or 4 classes. So I took like whatever the minimum was for the first year. And when I said, "Oh shit, I could do this. I can work in the day and go to school at night," and so that's what I did, and I got my law degree. And then, what am I going to do with this thing? I got a good job at Starkist, working in the office, traveling, places, and having fun.
Yeah.
So I decided to quit and open an office on Ninth Street in San Pedro. Well, that was a great move, and I did well. And I actually bought a house above Western Avenue,
Hmm.
and across from Portuguese Bend Beach Club, which is now sliding into the ocean. you know, and and you know, I moved up there, bought this place, but it was a good move and a bad move because my mom, again, a Scotty, Trutanich, a Malfitano, knew everybody and every lady in San Pedro who had had an apartment building or something. So I became the best free lawyer in San Pedro. And
I've
I
heard
think that's how I
that
really got
works.
started because I did so many free cases for because I knew everybody. How do you charge somebody you know? You know, you can't charge them. So I would do these unlawful detainers and these lawsuits and so at the end of the day, um, then I realized that I'm not going to get anywhere if I don't know what I'm doing. So I did exactly what I did when I was at Starkist. I went to school, and the school was the district attorney's office.
Oh, wow.
I got hired by the DA because guess what? Another Pedro connection.
Yeah,
The
who's that?
guy who was the chief deputy of the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office, guess who he was? Kurt Livesey. Guess where he lived?
Oh, no way.
Yes. And because Dinko Bazanich and Pete Bazanich were from Pedro, and
Yeah.
I was the third guy from Pedro, guess what? I got hired. And that was the launch pad. I mean, that I was in hardcore gangs for like 4 years, prosecuting in Compton.
Wow.
Where I had to take a different ride home every day because you don't know if you're being followed by a gang member. That's where I got shot at. I got a newspaper article around here somewhere, the Reader's Digest uh, article about being shot at Green Meadows Park in South Central. But I tried death penalty cases after death penalty cases after murder cases, and became a real lawyer. I no longer had to sit in my office when somebody came in with a problem and say, you should really talk to a real lawyer, because I didn't have any experience. But when I left the DA's office, I had probably tried 200 to 300 cases, and I knew what I was doing. And when I left the DA's office, my kids were going to school, and I needed to pay for college. I didn't want them to have a debt,
Yeah.
so that's when I went out and I went with a big law firm, and then I broke away from the big law firm and started my own firm, Trutanich or Jaffe Trutanich, Katina and Bloom, and we had about 70 lawyers working for us.
No
You
kidding.
know,
Wow.
yeah, we had offices in San Francisco. I was the only one in L.A. and I ran the office, which was in the garage of my old house,
Yeah.
where my parents were on Ninth
No
Street.
kidding. Wow.
I converted that into an office building, and you know, and it just started from there. And I just started practicing, and you know, I moved over to Long Beach in the Beach Bank building, and
Oh, really?
expanded to about 26 lawyers down here in LA. And then one day, um, the district attorney of LA County, Steve Cooley, called me and said, "You need to run for Los Angeles City Attorney."
Mm.
And I had a hard time thinking about that because I had kids going to school, and I needed to pay for that, and I wasn't going to let my kids suffer because I'd done something that might have affected them. So it took me about 6 weeks to make that decision, but I decided to run. And I could tell you how many times I've been in the valley. How many? I've probably been there as many times as you have.
Not that
You
many.
know, you know, and how many times I've been in the valley. So I opened a campaign office on Ventura Boulevard across from Bed Bath and Beyond, and met this guy named Mort Allen. God rest his soul. What a decent human being Mort was, and he gave me an office space in his building. I think I was paying like 12 to 1,500 bucks a month for that space, and that sign on the front that said Trutanich for city attorney. I think really paid off more than anything else in the world because everybody driving Ventura Boulevard saw that sign,
Wow.
and somehow this dipshit from San Pedro won.
How long were you city attorney?
I was well. There's the story of a lifetime because I took so much heat for this. Um, when I agreed to run for city attorney, when Cooley called me, um, I told him I didn't want to be city attorney. I said if I wanted to do anything in government, I wanted to be the DA because I had an idea of how you end gangs. I mean, I grew up poor, man. There was, we didn't have, Cadillacs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't even have a bike growing up. I used to have to go to my grandfather's house on 16th Street and borrow my cousin's bike, a girl's bike, drive if I wanted to ride a bike. Um, so I just had an idea of what I thought how you could end gangs because I worked gangs in the DA's office.
Hmm.
And in the worst of gangs, and and Compton is a city there where 95% of the people are wonderful. They're wonderful, and 5% of these gang members they control that city. Well, back then anyway, because there were 1,200 murders in LA County when I was in hardcore, and I felt that we needed something in the LA Unified School District that would help people learn that gangs were a dead end.
Hmm.
And we needed to teach these kids in school. And I met with Cardenas, who was the superintendent of schools at the time for LA Unified, when I was city attorney. And I told him, I said, I want 45 minutes of a day of every single school so I can teach these kids how what gangs do. Take them down to county jail. Let them see where they live in the blood tank or the crypt tank. Let them see what life is in county jail. Have them have lunch there. The inmates. And again, I don't know what the language limit here is, but the inmates refer to their lunch because I don't know if you've ever eaten lunch at the county jail,
No.
but the inmates refer to it as a horse cock and cheese sandwich. It's basically it's basically spam and a block of cheese on a piece of stale bread. I
Wow.
mean, back then anyway. I don't know what it is now, but I mean,
Great.
literally, we could end gangs by educating these kids out of gangs, teaching them. I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, uh, nobody stabs themselves with a knife unless they're crazy. And basically, you're stabbing yourself with a knife if you join a gang and you end up in jail.
That's a
And
great story.
and you know, I mean,
That,
honestly,
that's a great narrative to speak to kids. They just don't know, like, to get sucked into that lifestyle. It's terrible.
45 minutes a day, you get ex DAs that are retired that will volunteer their time, ex city attorneys, ex police officers come into the classroom and just give them a, teach them life skills,
Yeah.
how to
My
succeed.
my brother-in-law retired from LAPD SWAT, and he was in the
Tough job.
crash unit for a while too. But some of the stories he would share was like tell the kids, tell my daughters that. And so
Yeah,
they,
I mean,
because
people don't.
the kids, they watch TikTok and Instagram, whatever, and it glorifies all this stuff, like, like they're being victimized. I'm like, they're criminals, though. I mean, there's two sides to the story.
What people see on TV is not what really happens.
No.
I mean,
You
what
were,
I couldn't believe it when I saw my first dead body. I
oof,
mean, you just. I grew up in San Pedro. There were no dead bodies back then. I mean, literally,
unless they were in the harbor.
That's right. I mean, yeah, this knows.
That's a different story, though.
Yeah, but I mean, but literally, because it's such a colloquial town, you
Mm,
know. And when I got transferred into Compton hardcore, I didn't even know people shot each other like the old West days with guns like they do,
crazy,
you know.
crazy.
And I mean, everybody asked me if I wanted a window office in the DA's office when I was transferred into hardcore, and I went, no, I want an interior office because I don't want to get a bullet shoved through the window, you know.
Yeah.
That. But
Ooh.
those are the pragmatics of being there.
Well, that just triggered another story, a memory for me that you might have something to share on this before we wrap up. is Freddie the Leg Breaker, or Freddie the
Oh
Hat,
my
right?
God, yes.
I used to work after high school. My dad gave me he goes, listen, you've been working since you were 7. Take the summer off. And I took the summer off, and I told him, I don't think I'm going to come back. I want to go do something else. And one of the jobs I had was at Coast Federal Bank. And I walked in there to interview for the job. Never been in there before, by the way. But my friend Vince Bozen actually
10th and
worked there.
Pacific.
Now it's Chase. And
Yeah,
Barbara Mancusi was the manager. And
there's
when I
another
walked
name.
in, Freddie was in the lobby waiting to meet my grandfather. I didn't realize they met there for lunch every day. Like,
Freddie the Lake Breaker.
when
God, I can remember him walking up Pacific Avenue.
when he passed away, they didn't, there was no services. The bank had a service for him. Like, you had a private service in the lobby of the bank after hours for him.
That's not great. I mean, but that was San Pedro.
Yeah,
You know,
I didn't know anything about his background. I learned it from working at the bank because my family never really told me that. Well, he's a loan shark, and at the time interest rates were 12%, and he had a 7-day CD at 12% that he was loaning out on the street, and everybody in the bank knew, but me.
oh yeah. I mean, oh God, just the town was so close. Everybody knew each other. You
Yeah,
know, it was just the your parents, my parents, or their parents grew up below Pacific Avenue
yeah,
because prices were cheaper there.
mhm.
But you guys or your parents acceded to above Pacific Avenue
Yeah.
because that was a move up as seen by our own parents, our great
Yeah,
grandparents. I
I
mean,
guess so.
literally, and that's when I moved. When my first house I bought on Ellery Place above Western Avenue, $89,000.
Wow. Yeah, that's
Yeah, yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah. It just I look at this and I kind of just shake my head and go, "Where have we come from?"
I'm sorry. What I was going to say about Freddie is I didn't realize till after he passed away. I knew he lived in like the Lomita Pines area. I didn't realize he had cinder blocks all the way up, and his living room and kitchen were sunk down so he didn't get shot.
There's that house is still there.
I
I
know.
guess what when I became city attorney, you know where I moved to?
No, no, right there.
Lamita Pines.
It's a nice area. There's no lights, but it's a nice area.
It's a nice. I'm right there between Palos Verdes Drive North and Anaheim. There's that little area, Lamita Pines. It's great. It's amazing. It's just
Yeah.
I never thought of Lamita the way until I moved there.
Well, I like that area. I have friends and family over there too. And you know what? Before we wrap up, what's one memory you'd want to share around that? I mean, you shared a ton of them already, but if there are any that we missed around the old fish
Playing
market
pool at
life?
Johnny's Pool Hall.
Oh man, we haven't talked about that on any of these episodes. Talk about that one for a minute.
Johnny's Pool Hall, and let me tell you that was a staple. I mean, I was,
So for
the,
reference, that's my grandfather's brother, Johnny Ungaro.
and then again another great, just truly an individual. Would you
Yeah.
not agree?
Yeah.
Just
No, I don't know of anybody in my life to this day that goes around pulling your hair or slapping you in the face just to say
I
hello.
can't tell you how many times I got my hair pulled and slapped. I mean, I was 18 years old, and I wanted to play pool. We had a pool table at our house, and I was always getting my ass kicked by all my relatives that knew how to play pool because they all grew up at Johnny's Pool Hall.
Yeah.
So I went down there and learned how to play pool.
Wow.
And Johnny would teach me how to hold the stick and how to hold the cue, and just it was again the Ungaro family.
Different time, man.
Just a different time, but it was such a unique time. It was
Yeah.
such a unique time. I would not change those memories. I mean, don't ask me how I became city attorney because I don't know. I mean, I was just a local guy that got lucky. But the reason I was talking about Steve Cooley was I was going to run. I told him I didn't want to be city attorney. I wanted to be DA.
Hmm.
I wanted to be the DA of LA County. And that's why after 4 years as a city attorney, when Steve Cooley left office, I put in my papers for the DA's office
Hmm.
because I thought that I actually had the experience. There was nobody else that was running that had the experience I had in the law. or in high profile cases.
Yeah.
And I thought that I could end the gang problem in LA by not hiring cops, by hiring teachers,
Yeah.
by educating these kids out of gangs. And that was my going back to the bit where I was before.
I had a business coach that I hired for a while, and he actually worked with Tommy and myself and a lot of the family. And that was one of the things he was doing, was working with gangs to exactly what you said before he became a professional business coach. And he had
And
some
it's
great
not a dead
results.
end. Yeah, it's not a dead end. And there are success stories from
Yeah.
guys like that.
Yeah, he said he turned a lot of people around. It was inspirational to hear.
So if you could turn one person around with a little bit of hard work, you could turn a lot more.
Yeah, it just takes a team. But,
That's right. Exactly right. That was my feeling.
yeah. Well, hey, this has been great. Some great stories. Thanks for being part of Fish Factor. We're going to sign off now. And
Do you know that I've made big time?
this is going to be the #1 episode.
This is it, man. This is the key to my life right here.
Thanks for being on. We'll take
All
care.
right, Mike. Take it easy.